Ah, bonny Scotland. From historic battles to guard the highlands, to putting on your Scottish finery and dancing to celebrate the win. You could be in Scotland, but journey with us to a place nae so far from home, to Penticton, British Columbia, to experience the wonder a world away, where there are sights and sounds and tastes of Scotland. See the traditional dances of Ireland and Scotland. Hear the skirl of the pipes as they'd echo through the highlands. Taste the finely crafted whiskey known the world over. And feel the thunder of 100 pipers marching past. We'll take you backstage and behind the scenes. Come with us in this series of discoveries to experience the arts. This time, we meet a sausage maker who shares his recipe for haggis. Turn a set of great highland bagpipes on the lathe, and it's Judgment Day for the Youth Pipe Band. But first, we see how tartans are the fabric of family history.
In a far distant land, by a fair and golden strand, there I met a highland laddie in the morning, and he sang me a song.
George Young proudly sings of his Scottish homeland. Born over 80 years ago near Roslin Castle, renowned for the Templars who searched for the elusive Holy Grail. The heritage of the Scots can be found in the intricate weavings of the patterned cloth known as the tartan, each as unique as the family it represents. For years, George and Barb Young have collected tartan neckties which number in the hundreds.
You see one or two tartans and you think, oh, it'd be nice to have that tartan. My husband's Scottish.
Yeah, under each name, like the Mackays, they got the ancient and the muted, like the MacLeods and the Stewarts. We got a tartan, a young tartan, but I also have the Mackay tartan, which my grandfolks, they were Mackays. And we've always carried these two tartans.
And every time I see another tartan tie, I had to have it, and it just grew and grew.
Family patterns can be found in knittings and on china too, but perhaps the most recognizable is on the kilts worn for all occasions. George has been playing the bagpipes for over 50 years, another family tradition.
Well, my grandfather played, and like I say, all my family plays. The only one that doesn't is my wife. But right from the grandchild, and one time there were three generations in the one pipe band, the Caledonian pipe band.
When it comes to celebrating the life of Robbie Burns, that's also what Scots do. Robbie Burns was a common man, poet, and songwriter. His birthday on January 25th is celebrated the world over with a traditional feast which includes haggis.
Now, let usually the younger ones take over now, but I've given address to the haggis for quite a few years.
Many communities host a Robbie Burns supper which may include pipes and drums and highland dancing. And George is often honored by reciting one of Burns' poems, The Address to the Haggis.
And that's what it's called, The Address to the Haggis. And he gave it such as, fair fall your honest son's face, great chieftain o' the pun race, and bend them all your tak your place, pinch, tripe or thorn, or are you worthy o' a grace, as long as my hair. And that's, it's given every year. Well, to me, it brings back memories of back home. Take me back again, where heather hills are high, and I hear the mavens singing in the morning, where there's no place on earth like the homeland of my birth. Oh, my Scotland, I am coming home to you. I'm going to welcome everybody to Penticton for the Scottish Festival. Sorry we can't do it in person like we did last year, and everybody, hundreds and hundreds of people that came
had a fantastic time, and so did I. That was great. We spent the whole afternoon there. My wife Barbara and I, and my son, his wife, and our 2 grandkids, they're 6 and 9. They came along and they enjoyed even the athletics, you know, the log tossing and all the other stuff that they do, and especially the dancing. That's one of my favorite. And my mom's, when she was still alive, her favorite music are the bagpipes. And you know, the Greeks invented the bagpipes, and they used the stomachs of the sheep, the sheep skins in order to make them. And we only had one, I don't know what they call those, where the Scots have. Yeah, the Scots have a lot of them sticking up in the air. We only had one, you know, and we enjoy Scottish music. I think it's great. It's great to march to. It's great to dance to, and I like to welcome as many people as possible to visit the city of Penticton and enjoying the ambience that we have. We're one of 2 cities in the world that are situated between 2 lakes. We're starting to really pick up on our what I like to call art and culture. Come and enjoy yourself.
Our trivia question asks, what is a skeen-do? A motorized sled, a knife worn in a sock, a bowl of vegetable soup, or a casing for haggis?
Hi, Mike, you're back. Great. So I hear a big event is coming up.
Yes.
Yes, the Robbie Burns dinner. So Robbie Burns dinner is more of a formal event. So we should dress you in something that's very formal. Prince Charlie jacket, bow tie, formal sporran.
Sounds good.
And there's the MacPhail tartan, MacPhail hunting ancient. And then this is the MacPhail muted tartan. Tartans are a relatively new invention. A lot of the family tartans go back to around the Victorian era. So clan chiefs during that time would have chose their own patterns and said, my clan will wear this one because I really like the colors of it. Or maybe they've chosen some specific colors that they identify with their history within their clan. So sometimes certain colors in tartans have meaning. A kilt is approximately 8 yards of 100% pure new wool fabric made out of tartan. And the tartan that it would be made out of would be registered tartan, registered through the Scottish Registry of Tartans. That means that the tartan that you're going to wear isn't copyrighted by somebody else, it isn't owned by somebody else, and it's appropriate to the clan that you're identifying with. So for formal wear, you can choose a really nice tuxedo shirt to start. So we've got the standard collar, and then we have wingtip collar. And then you're gonna wear a nice bow tie with that, just like we've got right here. And now we're going to choose a formal sporran. Now for formal sporrans, we have a lot of selection. You can choose something that's a little more understated, or you can go a little bit wild. So we've got skunk fur, highland cow fur, beaver fur, Persian lamb, and rabbit. So for this, I'm just going to choose a nice black rabbit fur sporran. You're going to wear the kilt, and then there's all the accessories that go along with it. So there's the sporran, the kilt hose, that's the socks. You need garter flashes to hold the socks up. Gilly brogues, so that's the type of shoe that you're going to wear. And you've got a belt and buckle. So we've got a navy tie, so I think that it would be really nice to have some navy hose to go with them as well. Okay, so we're going to have some ghillie brogues as well. We definitely need these for a formal event. I'm going to put them over here. And then for jackets for a formal event, the most formal that you can go for this would be the Prince Charlie jacket, which we've got right over here. Now the Prince Charlie jacket has the tails on the back, and then it has a 3-button waistcoat right here. Other accessories that you can wear are a kilt pin and a ski-and-do, and a ski-and-do is the knife that goes into your sock. It's really exciting when you're picking out an outfit for somebody for a special event. I've picked out outfits for people for their weddings, for a Burns dinner, for a whole bunch of other different events that they're going to. And it's really exciting. A lot of guys will come in and they'll just be in their regular clothes, and then they dress up in the full outfit, and they look like $1 million. They look fantastic when they walk out of here in their outfit.
Next, we travel to Armstrong, BC to meet a haggis maker.
Well, welcome to Askew's Meat Department. This is our wrapping area, and this is where most of the product gets made. And this is our stuffer. So this is where we make sausage and haggis. I started the sausage program here pretty much, and haggis is like the advanced version of sausage, I would say. To me, I like to think of haggis as, I guess traditionally it was the parts that you may not have been able to consume otherwise, and so they found ways to do it in ancient Scotland, I assume. And so they brought up the nutritional value of it by adding grains, and so they made a kind of all-around package of meat and grains and a hearty kind of treat. So this is our stuffer. Stick all the product down into here, pat it in there to make sure there's no air bubbles. This stuffer will hold 25 pounds. And then guide the sausage as it comes out through there. The paddle in there will push it down, then extrude out this end. So haggis is, I like to think of as like ground meats mixed with spices and steel-cut oats is what we use. And then you take it all and form it into the bung casing, it's called. So it's a beef. As far as I understand it, it's the first stomach of the beef, although it has been put into other casings traditionally. What we use here is the bung casing. You have to cook up certain parts of the ingredients first, and some of the ingredients are left raw. And of course, I toast the oats first to bring out more flavor in them. And then it all kind of gets mixed together, and you gotta heat some parts up and cool other parts down in a proper kind of sequence. It's an all-day affair if you're trying to make it. We make a couple 100 pounds for each holiday at least, and it's amazing how many people have placed their orders with us once we started doing it. We did some research because we actually were requested by one group to make haggis for them, and so we said, okay, great, let's try and do this. And so we did some online research and kind of made an amalgamation of a few different recipes. And then, of course, we took feedback from our customers and tweaked the recipe here and there. So the most of the product is taken up by ground beef, and then there's lamb, and of course beef suet, which is a kind of a granular, more fat. And then we actually make our own bone broth here in the store. So in order to extract all the nutrients from bone broth, you have to cook the bones really slowly for at least 24 hours. And so we do that beforehand, and then that is incorporated into our recipe as well. And then there's beef hearts and beef liver gets mixed into it. For the liver, I have to cook it. Not overcook it because it will blacken quickly, but you have to cook it in water. I think it's for at least half an hour. and then it gets ground up with all the other stuff. And then, of course, I'm not a huge fan of them, and I always cry when I cut them up, but there are quite a few onions that we have to put into the recipe as well. And then, of course, there's all the spices, like ground mustard and black pepper, and I was requested to add some sage to it, so we're going to tweak the recipe there a little bit. This stuffer can hold 25 pounds of product at once, which is really handy when we have the huge batches of haggis to make. It's tons of fun because it certainly makes my days a lot more interesting. There's so many different pieces to it, and you have to time everything just right in order to make it in one day. So you have to have this cooking while this is cooling down, and then you have to have another ingredient cooking while that one's cooling down. It is an all-day affair to make haggis. This is a fancy European model, Trespade, I think. And so our makers will stick the product in here, and it extrudes out the horn on this side. After the product, and so there's a great big beef casing that hangs off of this, and as this gets turned, it extrudes kind of like exactly like making sausage, but in a much bigger format. Prior to making the haggis, I was kind of the lead sausage maker here at Askew's, and a lot of the elements apply to both. You have to watch the consistency, and we call it protein extraction. So that's where you're mixing things, and it's like emulsification, like what you do with eggs in baking. You use the eggs to bind the product together. Here we don't throw eggs in it, so we have to bind the product together through physically mixing it and a couple other ingredients that help along the process. So if we mixed it for too long, it would be really thick like a sausage, and you'd be able to slice straight through it, and it would keep a uniform line all the way through it like you cut it with a razor. Whereas some people want it more like a meatloaf, which crumbles a bit. All my grandparents, as far as I know, are from England, Ireland, Scotland. So before that happens, we have to mix it through our grinder over here. So on this side, there's little pinholes kind of thing, and the meat will come out of there. This is small pinholes. We have ones that are closer to the size of my thumb, and we call that the kidney plate because they're shaped like kidney beans. And the meat will come out of there in bigger chunks, and then we won't put it through the small plate like this because it'll be formed into too small of particles, and people don't want their haggis to be too runny, I guess. There's all sorts of fibers to be found in the fats of animals. So sausage makers know that fat from the belly of a pork is completely different from the fat from the shoulder. So it's a different consistency, and you want to be careful which kinds you use. And then it comes over here to our bowl mixer. So there's a big paddle that comes off this and kind of whips everything, just like you have at home, like your mixers, your Betty Crockers, only for meat. And then the final process is extruding it into the bung casings. And then, of course, cooling it down afterwards, because the machines will all heat it up a little bit. Yep. The biggest hurdle for people is thinking about the ingredients that go into it. But I know my dad loves liver, like nothing wrong with it. And I'm sure in the European countries, the offals are a lot better received than they are here, like liver, heart, and kidneys, etc. But I just tell people, if you're grossed out by it, don't think about the ingredients, just think that it tastes, as it's all ground up, it tastes like ground beef with a lot of extra spices in it. And it could taste like meatloaf to you, or it could taste like a heartier sausage. We have people asking for our special haggis we make here in Armstrong. And over here in Canada, we have a huge haggis tradition.
Ah, the skirl of the pipes. Many have been stirred by the war cry of this ancient instrument. For some, like Pipe Major Graham Burley, this love affair with the pipes began in youth.
I heard it and went completely bananas. I loved the sound, and then when I was shown what was the instrument that was making the sound, how cool it looked, and of course there's a uniform that goes with it, and all this kind of thing, I was completely hooked.
Now Burley not only plays the bagpipes, he makes them from scratch. The Great Highland bagpipes consist of a blowpipe to inflate the bag, a chanter with finger holes, and 3 drones. Each of the wooden components are turned on a lathe in Burley's shop. This block of wood, along with many others, will soon be turned into the famous instrument of the Scottish Highlands.
The very, very first set that I ever made and sold is currently in New Zealand with a young lady who was a student of mine at the time. Bagpipes are most often made out of African blackwood, an extremely hard and dense wood. It also has a high content of natural oil, which helps to repel moisture. So it's good for, you know, the vapor that's coming from your breath blowing down the inside, but it's terrific for bagpipe players when we're always expected to play out in the rain or in -10 on Remembrance Day. Once it's rounded off, it is clamped and then it is bored in the lathe. And in most cases, I'm using gun drills for the operation simply because of their precision. I have pulled back on my radicalness of my shaping on the outside and have moved very, very far forward in the refinement of the actual sound quality. There are little tiny things that you can change, little subtleties to try to improve harmonics, efficiency of airflow, this kind of thing, increase the quality of the sound. Tiny little differences in bore diameter have an effect on volume and an effect on the harmonics and overtones and so on that come through in the final sound, as well as the stability of tuning, as well as there are certain parts of the bagpipe bore where there's tapers. And those tapers are very, very important, how they're shaped and how much taper there is, what internal volume of the tapered area that do affect the sound. I've been told I'm now making something that is pretty much top level in terms of sound, that it can stand up to anything in the world.
Burley bagpipes can be heard all over, and they were all born in this little shop in Penticton, BC.
Feeling of pride, it's all like I have all these wooden children that are out in the world. So yeah, it's a pretty neat feeling. I love it.
Up next, it's Judgment Day for the Okanagan Youth Pipe Band, where 3 young Penticton pipers get to play and receive valuable feedback from world champion piper James Beaumont.
What did you think about when you competed? How did you feel?
Like, I felt intimidated.
You did? What intimidated you?
The judge sitting in the chair waiting for me.
Waiting for you to come up, or? Okay, so that's one of the things when we're teaching kids, or when we're teaching even adults. Adults tend to get a little bit more scared than guys your age. One of the things is don't think of it as a competition. It's not really a competition. It's you going and playing and enjoying yourself and seeing how well you can play, because you can't affect how the other people in the competition play. So if you just go and play your best and not worry about anybody else, that's all that matters. If you can go there and say, I tried my hardest, I did all the things that Kim has told me to do, that's it. And the more you compete, the better you will get at competing, and you will progress and get a little bit better, and don't worry about the results. The result at the end of the day doesn't actually mean anything. It just means that you were slightly better than one player on the day. But it doesn't mean that you're a better player or they're a better player. We have professional players in the world who compete against each other every week, and there's a different result every week. It just depends on the day. Now, don't be intimidated about the person sitting on the seat. They're just human, just like you. We, as a judge, we always want the people coming up to us to play to do as well as they can do. We're not sitting there waiting for a mistake. We're not sitting there, oh, you missed a grace note, and writing that down. That's not how it works. We want you to do as well as you can possibly do. One of the things to think about when you're competing is when you enter the performance, you enter this arena, so to speak, you're in first place. At that stage, you are in first place. After that, when you play, and if everything goes as well as you think it can go, you will remain in first place. So don't think, a lot of people go to the platform and think, oh, I'm at the bottom, I have to play really well to get to the top. No, it's the other way around. You start at the top, play well, and you'll stay at the top. Competing it's an amazing thing I've been lucky to travel all around the world to compete and have people pay for me to go do it. I didn't have to pay for it myself, which is amazing. You get to see some amazing places in the world. And most importantly is you'll meet some amazing people. You'll meet lots of new friends, lots of friendly faces that will remain I was your age competing, and the guys that I competed against are still my best friends today. And they live all around the world. So what I'm trying to say is enjoy it, it's worth it, and it doesn't matter what the result is. It really doesn't. What are you gonna play? Come closer. Don't be afraid. Come closer. What are you gonna play?
Jim Baseball.
Sorry?
Jim Baseball.
Okay, take your time. Good, Eli. Okay, come here. Okay, overall it's very good. You're playing at a really nice tempo for this level. You know, it's nice and expressive, lots of music in there. Your technique overall is pretty good. Couple of little things I want you to watch. Turlouths. So make sure when you're playing a turlouth, there's 2 low G's in the turlouth. Okay, to make sure that you hear both. If you look at a turlouth in the music, it's low G, D grace note, low G, E grace note. Okay, so you want to make sure you get those 2 low G's in there, and they should be exactly the same length. Okay, sometimes they were just a little bit tight and you're just kind of rushing through it, or I wasn't hearing all the grace notes in there. But overall, I thought it was very nice. At the end of the parts, I'd like you to have a look at the music. I think you may be playing a G grace note when there should be an E grace note. I don't know if Kim's ever said that to you before. A lot of times when we go, you're playing like a G grace note instead of an E grace note. So just be aware from that. Fourth part, obviously, you had the little brain fart in there. But a couple of pieces of advice I'd give for you when you're actually competing is, if you can march. It makes a big difference with the playing. When you're standing still, it's called a march for a reason. You want to be able to march. When you approach the judge, don't be afraid of me. Like, again, say the name of your tune, be nice and clear with it. Take your time before you play the tune. You have all the time in the world. The stage is yours. I have to sit here and wait for you. So I'm not going to tell you to hurry up. If you're going to take 10 minutes, then I'm going to tell you to hurry up. But you put up your pipes and you just went straight away. Take your time. Play first part of a slow air. You have that much time. Make sure that your pipes are settled, but more importantly, make sure that you're settled. Make sure that you're ready and that you're not just rushing and getting on with it. If you think about it, play the first couple of bars in your head, like while you're playing low A, just sing it in your head so that you're ready to go when you're ready. Okay? If you do that, it'll just settle you down a little bit, make you a little bit more confident. You have all the time in the world. The judge can't start before you. So, does that make sense? It's good playing though, man. Awesome. Okay, Jesse, what are you going to play, man?
I'm going to play Donald McLean's Farewell to
Open? Okay, take your time, man.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, Jesse, well played. Come on. Okay, overall very good, okay? Very nice, good fingering and stuff. One of the things that was unfortunate was your bass drone stopped as soon as you played. Now, once you start the tune, there's nothing you can do about that. So you did the right thing. Keep playing no matter what. Make the judge listen to you. Right. You never know what the other competitors, maybe all the rest of the competitors' bass drones stopped. Right. So I've seen too many people in my time stop. When I was a judge, they stopped when they were probably going to get a prize because they think that something was going to go wrong. So if something ever happens like that into a competition, just keep going. Okay. Make the judge listen to you. I thought your tempo was nice and controlled. Thought it was good for your level of play. Crossing noises. Crossing noises are something that you got to, I'd spend the most of your work. So if you're going from C to E, you should be practicing, you should be driving your family nuts. Just playing, and you should be able to play them at any tempo and never have a crossing noise, or C high A. But just practice that, just practice it over and over. The way to get better is to find your weak. Playing a tune from start to finish doesn't make you better. Right. Find the bits that you need to work on and just work on those. If you spend an hour just playing CE, that's you practicing. Right. That is you trying to get better at that. So don't be afraid to do that. So that long high A. The hardest thing to do in piping is actually hold notes. People think it's to play all the fast stuff. That's the easy part. Right. It's to hold notes. You were jumping off that high A, which means you're jumping your phrasing and jumping, and you're ahead of the beat from that. But make sure you hold on the high A. Don't be afraid to hold that high A really long. Okay. Third part, at the end of the parts, it's an E grace note. You're playing a G grace note. Okay. Make sure you play the E grace note. Fourth part, tackums. You always hold the note before a tackum, so the E. Make sure you hold on to that E. A lot of people jump on the tackums. The last piece of advice is exactly the same as what I said to Eli. March. Right. It's a march. Make sure you march to it. It's in the title. You know, march. And when you come to the platform as well, is you have lots of time. Don't rush. I can't start before you.
So I just started on the trick.
You come over here first. You're gonna tell me what you're gonna play, man.
Okay, so I'm playing James Cameron.
Okay, take your time. You can. Are you gonna march? Are you gonna stand still or?
Stand still.
Okay, yeah, just go back a little bit back from there. Very nice, Seamus. How did you feel it went?
Pretty good. There are a couple things I think I could have done better.
Like what?
Like in the third part, I messed up going to the second line. I kept forgetting to remember how to go into it. I know how to go into it, but I just, for some reason, couldn't get it down with my fingers.
It's fine. And one of the things is when you compete, all of a sudden everything just disappears from your head. You know, that's why we practice, so that things become autopilot. So when you get out there, if you do lose your mind, your fingers just move somehow. I thought it was very nice. I thought you started off very, very well. It's a nice controlled tempo for your level of playing. Your fingering at the start was very clean. It was very, very good, which I was really, really happy with. Turlewis, or you were playing grips at the end of the parts. I don't know if those are grips or Turlewis. And the music, I would bet they were Turlewis. They might be grips, I could be wrong. It's not a tune that I play. So making sure that if it's a Turlewis, you get that E grace note in there, okay? Time you got to the third part, yeah, you had a couple of little slips in the third part, fourth part, a couple of little crossing noises creeping in there, but just try and keep the fingering nice and clean like it was in the first part. One of the other things, which I've said to your other two buddies there as well, is march. You know, make sure you march. It will improve your playing dramatically, musically. But yeah, I thought it was very good. It was very good. So when you go to a competition, okay, what to do, what to expect. So when you go to the venue, so let's say it's Penticton Highland Games, the first thing you do is you go and check in there. You go and check in, you get your number, you put your number on your kilt, then you go and find out when you're supposed to be playing and where you're supposed to be playing. So you go over to that stage, that platform, and say, okay, you figure out what time. Now, the most important part about competing is not actually the competing part. Most competitions are won and lost on the setup, the preparation before it. Now, at a venue like this, have a look around and see, okay, we're playing close to a tree, we're playing on grass. The last thing you should be doing is standing on the sand at the lake. That doesn't match what's going on here. Find a tree on grass where it's in the same sunshine that's very similar to this, because the last thing you want to do is go from tarmac or a road or the sand to here and it's going to sound completely different. You put your bagpipes up and like, whoa, what happened there? One of the worst things you can do is play on a path and then play on grass. The sound just disappears because on the path, the sound bounces back at you. I've done it so many times, and you get on there and you think there's something wrong with your chanter. It's not that loud anymore. What's wrong with it? You're looking at it, and so prepare yourself. Now, the next bit is making sure you have a good bagpipe. You guys are lucky that you've got Kim to prepare yourself. But one of the things that I encourage you all to do is learn how to set up your own bagpipe. Learning how to tune your bagpipe is massive. I was always told you can be the best player in the world, but if you play on a bad sounding bagpipe, nobody will want to listen to you. But if you're a terrible player, and you have an amazing sounding bagpipe, people will listen to you all day. As a judge, when you're sitting here, as soon as you put up your bagpipe, if it sounds good, we're impressed. You haven't even played a note. It's like, whoa, this person knows what they're doing and they're listening. Okay? So, but if you put up a bagpipe, it doesn't matter. The judge switches off because it's so bad. So you want to make sure you have a nicely tuned bagpipe. That's something that you should spend a lot of time at home practicing with. We spoke about how, drive your family crazy. If you have siblings, you want to make them upset at you with different things that you're doing. Practice crossing noises for half an hour. Just play C-E, C-E. I had a sister, I have a brother that both plays. I have a sister who doesn't play. We used to drive her nuts because we just practice crossing noises and stuff all the time. Or we practice tuning on each other's bagpipes. And we drove them nuts, but we were getting better. Now, so when you actually come up to play, one of the things I spoke to you pretty much all about this is take your time. You don't have to start right away. A judge cannot judge until you start to play. Play a part of a slow air. Play something. Just get yourself settled. Don't just get your pipes up and then start playing, okay? One of the other things you do is don't put your pipes up, play a few things, and then put them down again. Then start. There's no reason. Once you put them up, keep them up. Because if you put them down again, they're going to go out of tune. So keep them up, don't put them down. give yourself a few seconds, a minute, 2 minutes. We have limits in the professional level where we have 5 minutes. They tell us not to go more than 5 minutes because we want to take as long as we can to make sure we're as settled as we can be. So take as long as you can to make yourself comfortable. Then when you're ready, compete. When we start to play. Now, with a judge's job is to critique you. We're writing down comments. Don't be afraid if you see the judge writing something down. Okay? A lot of people, when they see the judge writing something down, they think, I've made a mistake. I've done something wrong. Think of it the other way. I was always taught if the judge is still writing, it means they're still interested. If your judge is sitting down and he's looking over there, it means he's not interested anymore. Okay? If he or she is writing, it means they're still interested in your playing. So don't be worried if a judge is writing. And one of the things I said to you as well there was, if something goes wrong, keep going. Keep going. If a drone goes off, you make a mistake, doesn't matter. Keep going. I've said before, I've had people play in front of me as a judge where they made a mistake and stopped and walked away, and they probably would have got a prize because everybody else in the class made a mistake. So make sure you keep going all the time. It's very, very important. It's good. You've got good playing, good fingering. And one of the things I'll emphasize again is there's a difference between practicing and performing. When you're at home, don't perform. And what I mean by that is don't get your pipes up and just play through your 2/4 march. That's not practicing. Figure out, okay, if I'm weak at Turloufs, I'm going to practice Turloufs. I'm going to find a bit of the tune where I just play Turloufs over and over again. That's practicing. Playing the tune from start to finish is not practicing. So there's a big difference between practicing and performing. That makes sense? You guys did great. You're on the right direction. You're getting great tuition from Kim. You're very lucky. Not everybody gets tuition like that. So good job. It was great.
There is nothing like having pipers in the neighborhood because the Okanagan Caledonian pipers are here, and we're going to let you hear a little of that piping right now.
say that I never really heard of it or anything, and then I do have a dance background, and my friend said to me, you should come and try this, you would really like it. And then I did try it, and I just loved it right from when I started.
On our next episode, we join an Irish step dance class, cook up some Scotch eggs, and make a kilt by hand.